That's one of the reasons I love acting, because you kind of just have to do your best and just show up, and you have to just go. And I really love letting go. You can't be a perfectionist. You just have to do it.
Filmmaker Magazine presents Back to One with Peter Rinaldi.
Ariel Kavoussi is an actor. She sat down with me on the Upper West Side of Manhattan to talk about the work.
Do you have a typical way that you begin a process? Like you get a script, is there an initial process that you have?
If it's something that I didn't write, first you have to read it. You're seeing, do you want to do this? That's right. The first thing. You're reading it to be like, is this something I want to do next or at all? So you're reading it based off of that, and then after you learn more about what this involves, who's attached to it, then you eventually decide I'm going to do it or not.
And do those factors play in for you? Like, do you really weigh, like, okay, who's doing this? Who's at the helm of this? What is this going to? What was the other one? What is going to be involved?
Yeah. Who's attached to it already? What has the director done?
Right.
Or what is the part that they're giving me?
Yeah.
What type of character is this? All these things are factors, and they they exist on kind of this, you're balancing certain things.
Right.
Usually I'm kind of just looking for three things. I'm looking for a degree of professionalism from whatever. I love doing really low budget indie things, but there's a certain standard at the very least. Even on, I make my own indie movies, so I know what they are.
Yeah.
And then I'm also looking for, is this it seems like you shouldn't have to do this, but is this like a racist script or a sexist script? Because I just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And so I've been given stuff that I've been like, how is this not racist? And they're like, not a good enough answer,
Right.
And
let's say it's not that.
Yeah.
And do you weigh out, like, is this a good part?
Yeah, also, of course, everybody,
Well, there's some people that don't. There's some people that just are so anxious to do anything if they've been offered something. And I'm assuming, based on what you're saying, like in the Brooklyn scene here, people know you and they're sending you stuff. And they're just saying, I'd like you to be in this. Everybody that makes stuff knows you already, and they're sending you stuff. And a lot of people would just be like happy that somebody's sending them something, and like, all right, I want to work, let me do this.
Yeah, I take everything as it comes, because certain things just don't feel right.
Yeah.
I know that, and I'm happy to play just because of my voice. I get offered a certain type of thing regularly, and I'm happy to look at those things, but if it's just something, for example, if it's just something like talking about my voice, making fun of this voice, I unless you have some really good people attached, I won't say I won't do it.
Yeah.
Unless some really good people are attached, I might, because actors want to do different things. You don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over, especially if it's just a superficial thing that nobody can control.
Yeah.
I feel like I still have not been offered any role where I play like a really big bitch. I'm really, which is okay. Like that, I wouldn't even care. Like if the writing is mediocre, I'd be like, at least this, I have never done this. I would love to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, nobody's offering it to me, so I was like, I gotta write myself. I really, really love Julia Davis. Just talking about her makes me laugh. But she's got this show on HBO. I Love Sally Forever, and she did the show Camping. Not the Lena Dunham one was an adaptation of this British show, and she writes and she directs and she stars, and she plays just the worst she's British, but it feels like the worst person LA type of person you meet. I say LA because there's a certain really aggressive, take care. No offense to my LA friends, but like the really cliche stereotype.
Yeah.
I just would love to do something like that because I'm just so often, the nice, nice girl who comes along.
I know somebody that saw you in a movie and then tried to cast you in every movie he ever made after that. And you turned down a couple of his movies. And I found this fascinating. You don't have this panic and need to do, and I think this person's a pretty good filmmaker. You don't have a
I know what you're saying,
Yeah.
and the reason for this is because I'm lucky because I'm a filmmaker, I'm an artist. I went to school to be a filmmaker. I always have performed in my own work. This kind of magical acting career that's kind of getting jump started. I wouldn't even say I'm married, but that's kind of, I've had a lot of good, very good things happen to me. It's kind of been, I don't want to say it's by accident, but it's not like I went to Juilliard.
Right.
I feel really bad for those people out there because this is it. I know that I have the ability to make my own work and do what I want. And so I don't feel that desperation. I'm not beholden to other writers and directors, which a lot of actors are. They're like, please put me in something. I am lucky. That doesn't mean I still want certain parts, certainly. I still want to continue to collaborate with good people, and I'm rejected constantly. I mean, I reject people, but I am rejected constantly.
Right.
It's a regular thing. It's almost a daily thing where I'm going auditioning and like, nope. I mean, I don't take it personally, but obviously those roles, a lot of these roles, I'm like, I would love to do this, but for whatever, it's not a good fit.
Right.
I think mainly it's just, I've gotten to a point where I've gotten over my imposter syndrome, and I'm learning like auditioning, it's more whether or not are you a good fit or not,
What does that mean? What is the imposter syndrome?
The imposter syndrome is where you're very qualified to do something and you feel like an imposter. This is called imposter. It happens in every profession. Yeah. And I think it probably happens more to women than men.
Right.
They get this, but it happens to everybody. Like you've been doing something for a very long time, and you still feel like I'm a fake. So that doesn't creep in as much. It still occasionally does. I try not to take anything too personally. Basically, I'm just like, this is just not a good match. And
But tell me how that started. It seems like there was a point where you went from making your own stuff primarily to being like, oh, let me just audition more, right? I mean, like you're in this. You're just talking about a lot of rejection. That means you consciously now are trying to get in rooms.
Yeah.
So was that just like, all right, this is, even though this kind of happened by accident, where I'm an actor now. Let me just see if I can do this. Am I in the right ballpark?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you hauling that into these rooms in that same thing where it's like, I can always make my own thing. I don't need this job in this room. Yeah. So you come in there with a less tension, with less desperation. Is that right?
Probably. It's more like, although it's probably less so than most actors. Yeah. And also, it's more of a creative thing I'm trying to satisfy, and I think those people are trying to satisfy as well. I know I can get creative satisfaction elsewhere. However, those are very well-paying jobs. I'm going over
Right.
I would like this, and also the more I act in bigger things, the better connections I have. It's a whole circular thing. It feeds it. I meet other great actors, and you're like, oh, you want to act in my thing.
Yeah.
It puts you on. It makes you have peers that you would think are above you. Certain people become your peers as opposed to like, can I get you for my movie? Anyway, that all goes without saying. But yeah, there was a conscious, after Catfight came out, I got really good reviews talking about how I was a hilarious newcomer in a lot of really major publications. At the same time, I was making my own low-budget short film, and I got Kevin Corrigan to be in it, who's in your first episode.
That's right.
And he was telling me, like, Ariel, he was telling me how he respected me as a writer-director, but as an actor, because I'm acting in the thing. He was telling me that. And Kevin Corrigan's, he's an independent film icon. He's been one of my favorite actors since I was very young.
Yeah.
So it was really just a wake-up call. I just slap in the face, like, you actually have to take this seriously. You have to get over your imposter syndrome. You have to actually try. Trying means getting a manager, getting the headshots, going out, learning how to audition. So I had to I went on an emotional journey to get to where I'm still, we're still, everybody's still trying to get better, but that was a transfer, because I always enjoyed performing. I always loved acting. I kind of just stopped in college because nobody really they didn't want this. And I kind of was like, I don't want to do this if nobody wants this. I'll just make my own stuff. If these people don't want me in their improv group or in their play, that's fine. And it wasn't until I graduated, I guess I just have more of a cultural connection to the filmmakers and artists in New York than I did in college.
I want to peel back the layers a little bit on your approach to comedy. I want you to lift the hood a little bit. Like, for instance, in Catfight, you steal the scenes. The director of Catfight, Onur Tukel, I think put this beautifully. He just said, she is just naturally funny. She doesn't have to do much to steal a scene. There's something timeless and indelible about her. Her face beams, her voice delights. That's a powerful combination. But I was like, wait, when he said it doesn't take much for her to steal a scene, I was like, that's it. But it's the way you're delivering lines, and I hate to bring it down to that, like as if it's just about the cadence or something, which I don't think it is. Can you just talk about, like, do you see a scene and, like, it seems like you're avoiding a stereotypical, tried and true landing of jokes? Do you know what I'm talking about even?
I think, I'm not sure if it's anything but instinct. I wish I could give you, like, this is what you do, but in terms of I'm not trying to be, maybe I am, but I feel like I'm not trying to be funny.
Right.
Even in my own work, I don't want to make you laugh, but that's what happens.
Right.
And that's just, I don't know what that is, Right. So, and also, with the movies like Catfight, you have to thank Onur. He's creating the atmosphere for this kind of stuff to come out.
Right.
So it's partially, what is the director? What kind of mood are they creating there?
Yeah.
I would say, like, in terms of my own writing, it's just, you could say it's easy. Comedy comes from pain. I'm not saying, I'm not, like, I've had, like, troubled, like any artist, not anything, but more like alienation that any artist feels. And so, but I there's not a formula. It's just instinct. One of the reasons that I love acting is because you can't really think. That's why like you have really brilliant people becoming actors, and you also have like really dumb people being actors, like because who can be great actors because you don't have to think. It's all instinct. And I can be really a perfectionist. It takes me a really long time to finish scripts and writing for my own work, and that's one of the reasons I love acting, because you kind of just have to do your best and just show up, and you have to just go. And I really love letting go. It's really freeing to not, I can't be, you can't be a perfectionist. You just have to do it, which is really good for me, someone like me.
Yeah.
Who can take forever on like one like short story.
Do you have like an anxiety that's always around? And that's not there when you're acting? I mean,
it's something I have to work on, perfectionism, because that's really that's the enemy of like creativity and getting stuff done. It's one of my it's an issue. So yeah, it's something I have to work on. But thankfully I have this thing that I can do. It's like it's probably one of the my act in terms of any creative pursuits. It's one of the things I've had the most success at, because of that. I've never heard of an actor talk. I wonder if there are other actors out there who relate to that. But maybe not.
I think so.
I wondered if like that's only happens with me, but it must happen to other people too.
No, I think you hit on the thing that makes them good. Like, it's part of the reason why I don't think I'm a very good actor myself, because I need to always be thinking, even when I shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Like I can't turn it off, and like I feel like I'm a way overthinker when I'm acting. It's almost like a director has to really like try and fool me out of that, like or manipulate me out of that, to get me to just be in. Sometimes there is a take where I'm like, whoa, what happened there? Like, I wasn't planning, and that was the one.
Right.
But I want to go into this, like even in Maniac, right? In the little bit of stuff you have to do in there, but there's just this. If anybody else got those lines, there's just a certain way of saying it that would be so less interesting than the way you did it.
Again, it's like the director. I go to the director. It's his fault this good stuff happened.
Well, all right. Well, let's talk about this. What
What
has to happen to create the space for you to do this in the way you're saying it? It's kind of unconscious, or it's kind of like not thinking, or it's like you're just being. What does the director usually have to do for you to lay the foundation for you to be doing this?
I'm not sure quite what it is. It might just be creating a certain atmosphere where it feels comfortable to do certain things or making certain decisions. I know for both of them, so a lot of this is just trying things that work out for me. I didn't go to Juilliard, and so it's like what works. I'm usually kind of trying the method thing, like let me actually feel these things, let me actually feel like I'm here. I know I said like you're not thinking. It requires an intense focus I'm going in and out of focus. Even when we were at Maniac, I could go in and out of it, but so was Emma Stone. I could tell, so I was like, everything's fine because this Academy Award winner's doing it too. We would have takes where we were present, we were listening, we felt these things, and then there were times where we were thinking about, how does my mouth look here or something. So you're constantly going in and out.
That didn't panic you, in other words, like when you were seeing that she was going through the same thing.
It kind of is just like, well, thank goodness for editing, because we'll get to the good parts. And thank goodness for having a good director. I mean, a great director. Both Onur and Cary Fukunaga. One thing they both did, and I don't know, it could be nerves. I know right when I get there, they always tell me, I always start it like way too, this podcast is way too high up. My energy and my performance kind of like broad, and both of them got performances out of me where they brought it down. I think because you don't realize how like close the camera is to your face. You don't really need to do much.
Right.
So it helps to have somebody remind you of that though.
Right.
Both could have been very bad performances had they not did the adjustments.
But
So,
let's also say that you took the adjustment.
Yeah.
So how did Maniac come about? Like, was that just an audition?
I figured when I made that conscious decision to like, look, I gotta get my headshots, I never really, I was like day player roles. I know I'm good enough. I watch a lot of shows, I watch a lot of movies. They keep making more of them. The chances are I could get one line.
Right.
Just one line on a TV show.
Right.
Like, here's your coffee. Oh. So that's what I was like, told the manager, let me go out on these. And day player, people don't know, like, you have to audition for even one line. But I was like, that's great. So I literally, that was just audition. I'd been going on a bunch for one line, and I won't tell you which part it is because it's in there. That turned into, when I was there, they were like, while you're here, you want to read this other thing? And they gave me the scene, the ad buddy scene. And they gave it to me there. And I was like, I have no idea what this is. Because I was like, I just did it, and I left just thinking that was truly embarrassing. So, and then, my manager, like, he emailed me or something a few days later saying they want to put you on hold. And I was like, what does that mean, a hold? It's like, what's that? And then they're like, okay, they're going to book you. So the costumer's going to, and I was just like, what is that? Like, what does that mean? It was just, what all actors know, once they get the costumer involved, then you're good.
Right.
You don't have to, you're like, you're in. And I was just like, I was really shocked, the whole thing. That turned into, because that one line audition turned into a whole thing because I had this big scene. It turned into a big scene with Emma Stone. Then Cary Fukunaga also gave me my first animated voiceover role, which if you watch the entire series, which you should, I come back, I have a little thing with her, and I come back for another day player thing in a mansion because I don't know if you've seen the show or your listeners, but he just kind of creates these alternative realities, and a lot of the actors came back and did different things. So basically, also it's kind of a remarkable story because I wasn't able to get too many auditions, and I was able to get something quite good, having only done like 16 auditions in a year. I think I'm a character actress, so obviously a lot of people will not get me. They don't quite get me. They don't know where to put me.
Right.
I know that's typical, but I think to me that was just another, it was like after Kevin told me those things, people I really respect are saying good things, I'm gonna just hang on to that. And just, so yeah, I had worked with Kevin, I had worked with Ann Heche, so working with them, it was unbelievable, but at the same time it kind of felt right, at the same, it didn't, when I got there, of course I was nervous, but so was everybody, and it was the first day of 75 days. I was there.
Which one are you talking about now?
Maniac, sorry.
Oh.
I was there day one
wow.
of 75 days, and we were filming in Chinatown. And
wow.
Emma Stone was very nervous too. So
That must
she's
have been,
like nervous.
that must have been delightful
she's like,
to see.
I didn't.
Yeah.
She just was like, I didn't sleep last night. I just didn't, because she was so nervous.
Yeah. She was nervous, but did she know that this was basically like your first really big production that you were in, like in your first scene, and did she try to calm you down?
It all kind of, realistically, she's an Academy Award. She's one of the most successful actresses currently living. She's one of the highest paid, really. So, I mean, there could be like, I'm going to be intimidated, or I'm going to be like, it just didn't feel that way. It felt like I am a classic character actress. I'm where I need to be. I'm here to help her guide her story. It felt like I was, it felt like we were both figuring it out, maybe because of what Cary Fukunaga and also Patrick Somerville, they were kind of a team. I don't know, he didn't get he wrote it. He wrote The Leftovers. But he was kind of, they were a team, the two of them.
I guess that's
it was kind of just the atmosphere they created where I didn't feel as scared as maybe in retrospect I should have been. But I think it helped that it was day one. So everybody was freaking out. Everybody. So that's I was just like, I think I was a relief to everybody, because it was kind of like, oh, here's the part of all this we can enjoy, the actors. It was like, oh gosh, everything else is stressful, but at least we have these charming actors. So, I mean, and then also I could talk about it after, well, if you want to hear. It's not like right now, I'm not, did not change my life. Like, that's just the reality of being an actor and what it is. I mean, and it may shock some people, but it's like, even, I think I listened to Kevin Bacon, and he was in Animal House. That was like his first movie. He had a really big, after that that came out, he was back to being a waiter, because it's just kind of like, until you get that next thing, it's like kind of how it is. But I have been given, like, I was able to, a really good agency has signed me now. So it's not it's not like nothing is going on, And also I did like a little thing, it hasn't come out yet, so I shouldn't talk about it, because you never know if you'll get cut out or something. But I did another TV thing that I'm excited about, and hopefully it's all good.
And it's all there. Hopefully it's all
there. Because I mean, even with Maniac, I was like, we were like, you have to be realistic. People get cut out of. I listened to Tony Shalhoub's also on Mark Maron. He said the first movie he did, he got cut out. So Mike Nichols movie. And also the fact that I did not get cut out, like that's just so amazing. The fact that, because that's so common with actors. The first thing you do, it's just crazy, the whole thing.
Do you have an approach, though, now that you've been auditioning for a while here, that you do when you go into the room? Like, do you have a set thing that you do? Do you have a way to break that tension? Do you have a game plan?
The best, I'd like to get better. I think I could be I'd like to learn more. What I've been using that's very helpful is there's a book called Audition by Michael Shirliffe. And that book really helped me. It helped me with Maniac, that audition, because he talks a lot about opposites, and making mistakes. And auditioning is its own art form. It's not acting, it's its own thing. And the worst thing you can do, he talks about in auditioning, is being boring. So doing what's expected. So the part that I was reading for Maniac was, I was supposed to be a really angry person. I played it opposite. I played it very meek and very scared. And that's not what people are expecting. So I always just go straight to that. What's the emotional opposite of this? I also just practice. If I get it beforehand, you gotta practice it obsessively. You have to keep doing it, and not putting it in my own voice. Also, even improvising. And a lot of times the casting people will be like, well, actually, I think you're supposed to play it like she's sad, and make sure you get the words right. But they don't realize that maybe they do, but it's like, this is I am doing this this is very like a conscious decision. So I will always lean on opposites, because it always helps me, not worrying about the words, making mistakes, but that you plan, like you did on purpose.
Yeah.
Because it's its own one-time performance,
Yeah.
And I think Kevin Corrigan, he talked about how, you already have the job. It's like you go in there, you just like, it's yours. This is your one-time performance, now go.
Yeah.
So you're not really, you shouldn't be
timid about it, right?
Yeah, it's yours. You're the director. No one's told you what to do.
Right.
So you could do whatever you want. It's your material. So I always do that, because if I didn't, I think I would be bored. I'd be angry. It's like, it's a break in my day. A lot of actors are like, God, it is hard acting and stressful. But I'm grateful. Every time I get an audition, I'm like, God, let me do it again, because it's, again, flexing those creative muscles. Let me just practice my performing ability,
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be, well, not everybody, but we want to do the right thing. We want to be correct in our behavior.
Right.
And that's often the worst thing for creativity. Usually for creativity, doing the wrong thing is actually a lot more interesting.
Right. Doing the wrong thing as if it was right. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of like then it's like I have permission in the space of the auditioning room to act inappropriately. I don't have that you don't have that anywhere else during your day.
I love that.
But there's the part of your day where you're like, I can do whatever I want. So
I love that.
That's my advice to people audition.
Now, let's talk about this. Your voice. I'm imagining it's both, just like some things other actors have that is unique. It can be both something that very much helps them, and it can be something where it becomes, or it is at times, a hindrance to something. Like maybe because of your voice, there are a bunch of things that people don't want to see you for, but there are a bunch of things that they will see you for more than anybody else because of your voice.
The thing that's annoying is when people think I'm making up. I'm doing it for attention.
Right.
And I often worry, like, do even the people I'm auditioning for, do they think I'm just like doing this to be funny or something, or like can they pick up? I kind of do worry about that, but there's nothing I can do about it.
Right.
Really, so if there's something you can't do anything about, I'm not like, there's no point obsessing over it. So you gotta love yourself the way you are, And I love my voice, and I think it's great, and but it's. People think this must help you, it must be great. I think people are always saying to me, you should do voiceover work. They don't know the realities of the voiceover industry.
Right.
The more interesting and unique of a voice you have, the harder it's going to be for you to get work.
Right.
Because you're not generic sounding.
Right.
But then, I don't want to sound generic. Obviously, it would be great to have way more voiceover work, but then wouldn't be me. So,
right.
And I think like there are very few, but enlightened folks who will, like Cary Fukunaga, who will appreciate me.
Yeah.
For who I am.
This is something, again, I had my spies telling me things. It's debatable whether Tupac actually possessed you on the anniversary of his death at the Toronto Film Festival karaoke party. But people say that it's possible he did. Tell the story of the Tupac karaoke.
I could tell you the story that you don't know, which is, okay, there was karaoke night at the Toronto Film Festival. I did a rendition of Tupac's Changes that was well received, and now people videotaped it. Even Grace Van Patten, who's in Maniac, she had been there the year that I was at Toronto Film Festival, and she videotaped.
You were there for Catfight.
I was there for Catfight. She was there for Tramps, which is Adam Leon's movie. And she happened to be at the bar, and she videotaped me, and then cut to we're in Maniac. We're in the trailer.
Wow.
And Emma Stone's in the trailer. This is just and like Grace Van Patten sees me, and she's like, "Oh my God, you don't understand. I have this videotape." And she's telling Emma Stone, and then Emma Stone's like, "What?" Like, I'm like, "Oh my God, is this embarrassing?" Or like, it was just like, and then the whole like wardrobe people were like, "Let's watch this video."
She had the video.
She had the video, and anyway, but this is the thing about Tupac. People don't know this, but when I took a year off college because I really wanted to find people who were really passionate about film, because I couldn't find, besides my professors who are amazing, I couldn't find peers, and I was honest, I was lonely. Mm-hmm. I couldn't find anyone who was as passionate as I was about film and art in a certain specific way. Yeah. They're definitely smart, amazing people, but in a certain way. Yeah. So I heard of this film screening, there were all these great movies, and I saw it was being organized by these people, this collective, and these two brothers who were called the Safdie brothers. So I was like, these guys seem amazing. Like, I wish I could be friends with these guys. Like, I need to contact them and like I need to work at I saw they had a production company. Mm-hmm. So I emailed them. Like, look, I gave them my whole spiel. I was like, I could help you. I could do intern stuff. I don't care. Like, can I come there? So I did for a while. I was in their offices, and this is before. Now they're like super big, like directors. This was a while ago, but they would always be listening to Tupac, and I had never really listened to Tupac before. So really, that goes back. That story has like multiple layers.
Yeah.
It starts with the Safdie brothers, and I was like, wow, Tupac's really good. I should have listened to him when he was around. Mm-hmm. Like, I have another song that I'm ready.
Can you reveal what song that is?
It's a Britney Spears song.
Okay. I don't need to know anymore.
It's a Britney Spears.
I don't need to know anymore.
And it's really, I really hope there's another karaoke party, because I'm ready for that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because you are also a filmmaker, because you have that creative bone in you, in an ideal scenario, how are you spending your life creatively?
There are a lot of really great filmmakers and artists who really inspire me, and if I had one sliver of their career, I'd be grateful. I mean, I am grateful now, but you see someone like, Crispin Glover, Werner Herzog, Julia Davis, Lena Dunham, getting to write and direct and act either in your own work or other people's work, kind of like what Crispin Glover and Werner, either those, I feel like you have the Lena Dunhams and Julia Davis, where they're these like female auteurs, they write, direct, and act in their own work. Then you have like these kind of, Crispin Glover, Werner Herzog, who are really, they're kind of separate things. Mm-hmm. Crispin Glover's films are very uncommercial, and he won't even play them unless he's there. Right. But then he's a pretty mainstream actor. He's on TV. I would be cool with me, and he like saved up all his money, bought this chateau in Czech Republic, and he turned it into a studio, and So that would be great, if that ever happened to me.
I love this. Crispin Glover as the ideal kind of
Because I
road.
relate to him because I feel like I have a really dark, kind of weird worldview. It might be not. I mean, my short film's doing well. It's done well considering that I have this kind of. I know that my acting, it's more. I have more commercial appeal. Like anybody, your mom, your grandma is gonna. Hopefully will like me, my performing, what I do as a. Can I just say one thing? You can cut this out if you want.
Okay.
You can. Okay. I just would love to talk about how wonderful my mother has been, and she's been so wonderful. Because my mother, where does this come from? Where does this voice come from? Where does this creative voice come from? Who knows, but you might say, is it genetic? My mother is a professional graphic designer, and she's worked with Lou Reed. She's worked with the Velvet Underground. She's done album covers.
Ooh.
So she is an accomplished artist, and she's an inspiration. She's not an actor, but I mean, where does the creative sense come from?
Right.
She's been incredibly. She's my biggest fan.
Yeah.
She's been incredibly supportive, and in emotional ways and also just practical ways as well. She's helped me as a struggling artist. She's helped me.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just talk about how Judith Salovitz.
I think that's nice that you're tipping your hat to her here. And I feel honored that you said that on here. Ariel Kavoussi. Thank you.
Thank you so
for this.
much.
Finally,
this is so
we get you on.
great.
Thank you. Hope you can come back.
Yeah, for sure.
Back to One is a production of Filmmaker Magazine, which is a publication of IFP, the Independent Filmmaker Project. Listen to back episodes of this podcast at filmmakermagazine.com or wherever you get your podcasts.